I had a therapy practice.
Oh my God. You would be very helpful to me, and you are here.
Well, let's do it separately. We'll go have some therapy sessions. But it's true.
Yeah.
That was just what was up for you,
Yeah.
but not the reality of it.
Yeah.
But isn't that interesting? And it's the same thing where all of these years, everybody's coming up to you. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio, first of all, he's having not just a moment, because he's huge and getting better and better and better and better.
Yes,
I mean, really, I could go on and on about how good he is as an
yeah.
actor. But now with this Quentin Tarantino movie, did you see it?
I have not seen it, but I hope I'm not going against you. But someone who just saw it said it was the worst picture they'd ever seen.
That's fine. It's a split, I think. I think it's a 50-50 split, and I think it depends on your taste for Tarantino.
Yeah.
So, do you like Pulp Fiction?
I didn't see Pulp Fiction, but I'll tell you what I saw last week. It was the most insane picture I've ever seen. Dusk Till Dawn. Dusk
I don't know
Till
that.
Dawn.
What is that?
It was the craziest movie. People turned into vampires.
Oh, I don't do that.
If you saw it must have cost $100 million with the changes. I couldn't believe what I was watching.
I can't do that whole fantasy sci-fi
it
thing.
was
That's not
incredible.
for me.
It was great. That was the picture. But Pulp Fiction, I saw some of it. I saw Harvey was in it. Harvey.
Keitel, yeah.
And oh God, no, and the English actor, was it Oldman? It wasn't Oldman. It was Roth.
Oh, Tim Roth. Tim Roth.
Good actor.
Yes.
And the other people.
John Travolta, Bruce Willis, Uma Thurman.
Samuel
L. Jackson.
Who's in every movie. I can't stand him. And no, I can't say he works too much. That's what I mean. Samuel, you work too much. I made you. If it wasn't for Do the Right Thing and you talking about me, you wouldn't be as famous.
Do the Right Thing. By the way, your friend Spike Lee.
Yeah.
So I met him recently. I did a piece with him.
Oh, good.
So I met him. I went out to his offices in Brooklyn. And now I was doing a print article for the New York Times.
Wow.
Focused on him. Right? So I'm out there doing that. And I say to him, you've got to come on my podcast. And he said, well, what's it like, And I said, well, it's kind of like Terry Gross, but it's less structured, like very relaxed. We're just going to talk or whatever. And I said, I had Danny Aiello on the show and Michael Imperioli, who, was in where he worked together with on Summer of Sam. I said, and he said, send me Aiello and Imperioli. And I said, oh, you mean you want to talk to them? Because I think they'll vouch for me. He said, I don't need to talk to them. Just send me theirs, because he wanted to hear what you and I talked about. Because he values you.
Tell him, Louie.
Right? Of course, he's crazy about you.
He loves me. So he calls me up. He calls me sir, which I resent, but he does. And he asked me constantly, we just did. He had what they call a 35th anniversary.
I know that Do the Right
30th,
Thing party.
I was there.
Yeah. You went there?
He asked me.
Okay.
I had to go. So they were only he and I, and Rose came. Rosie Perez was there before me.
Okay.
And then I came, and I was the only one there with him. And I have to tell you, I must have seen 200,000 people in the street. I have never seen so many people up every street. I couldn't see the street, just heads of people. It was huge. I couldn't believe it, right, Lou? And I did that, and that was it. But they asked me, was it the New York Times? It wasn't the Times. It was
Vanity Fair, I think.
No, not Vanity. I'm talking about. They asked me to do some interviews. They were going to do clips of mine and use them.
No, that was the thing at Hollywood. On CNN.
No, CNN.
Okay.
CNN had the clips they were doing, and I'm sorry I jumped away from you. And they saw shorts on me. They said, we want to use it, we want to pay you money, and so forth. And they were paying an exorbitant amount of money. And then when I saw the clips, I said, you can't use them.
Why?
Because I didn't like them. Because they were cutting them in such a way that it was, to me, it was embarrassing. And I didn't want it to be repeated nationally. It was enough it was in the movie. Nigga, saying these words over, you black. I said, I didn't want to do that. I know it's acting. They've seen me in the movie. I want them to see the full context of the movie.
Definitely.
Not to take a piece out and have me there like a jerk, you know what I mean? Like saying this black dad, you this, that. I didn't want that. So I withdrew.
Yeah.
He's kind, and I had sent a lot of people to him, who had asked me, do you think Spike could help me out? And I sent many people to him, kids, maybe black kids who had nowhere to go and
Yeah.
looking for things. That kid from Five Napkins.
And does he help?
Yeah, he went there. They would go because he's helpful to anybody who is aggressively wanting to work.
Well, I remember, it's funny, it just reminded me, because I remember one of your stories in your book was that he approached you
Yeah.
early on.
Yes.
And then you said, no, this isn't
Yeah,
for me.
exactly.
And then he came back to you again.
Kept coming.
Right, so it wasn't just once a return.
Right.
He kept coming.
Yes.
So in fact, I used you again. I went back to his place and I say, don't forget, we have to do the podcast. And he said, the podcast. I said, yeah, I'm not going to give up. I'm like Danny Aiello, you and Danny Aiello. You kept going after him. I'm going to keep going after you.
He went after me like crazy.
And he got you. And he got
Invited
you.
me to games, came to North Carolina when I was shooting Once Around. He came to North Carolina to get me. It just kept doing. I thought it was too much of a.
But see, even after this, I can't believe that you didn't let it sink into your confidence, like into your psyche.
Phony confidence by me. Let me tell you, we're walking up the Golden Globe and the Academy Awards. He's sitting in the audience, and so am I. I'm up for Best Supporting Actor. He's up for Screenplay. I walk up the aisle, and the most confident thing I ever said to him, remember, I brought you to the dance. That's what I said.
He must have loved that.
Oh, he did.
I bet he loved it.
Yes. But that was the most courageous thing I had ever said.
That's beautiful.
Well, he feels. He says things like this to me. We made history.
You did.
That's what he says to me.
Yeah.
He said, Danny, I said, you know something, when I see advertising on this and the picture when they show it in television, I never hear them say Danny Aiello was nominated for an Academy Award. I mean, this is complimentary to you. Oh, don't worry about that. He said, listen, Danny, Glory. He said, Denzel Washington won for Glory. Does anyone talk about Glory today?
Right,
That's what he said to me.
Nobody ever talks about Glory.
Everybody talks because the picture was.
Yeah, it really meant something.
Matthew Broderick, who I love with a mustache, they playing a general. Are you serious? He looks 17 years old.
He still looks 17.
I know,
with
and
gray
I love
hair.
him, and I love him. But, and he said, we made history. Do you I would see quotes that he would send to me. You would flip.
Oh,
The
really?
things
That
he
people
says about what we did. It isn't him. When talking to me, he's talking about him and I. And of course, Ruby Dee, and of course, Ozzie Davis, who I loved. I loved Ozzie. Ozzie comes to me one day. It was not a very expensive picture, Do the Right Thing. So we couldn't afford vans and things of that nature. I got paid well in it, but not as well as I usually do, but we had no place to stay. We stayed in a school. Now, when we walked through those streets in Bed-Stuy, there were vials on the floor, there were needles on the ground. They even told us, don't watch where you step. You may step on a needle and so forth. Two of my sons were in the movie with me. Now, Danny was the stunt coordinator. He's the boy that died of pancreatic cancer, 2010. And Rick, my son, who played the police officer who killed Radio Raheem, he strangled him. He's terrified of that, even to this day. He said he hates to go into neighborhoods. They look at him, they want to kill him.
Oh, so they remember.
Yeah, I said,
and even if they don't know why, they associate.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he says they bring it up to him sometimes. He feels real bad about
Yeah.
that. But I'll never forget what Ozzie Davis said to me. He said, I love your sons. I love them. He said, they are so good. This is Ozzie Davis,
Right.
a wonderful actor and a wonderful human being. And he blew me away. And
So that was meaningful to you.
let me tell you the one thing. Some of my friends were not enamored by Spike Lee. They saw his, because he was doing his thing, And let me tell you something. Danny Aiello, the third, dies. We're in the funeral home, Campbell Funeral Home on Columbus Avenue. Place was packed. A lot of actors came for him, not for me, for him, because they loved him. And people that he taught how to stunt, people that he stunt people around. It was jammed with people. I'm sitting down front with my family, by myself, all the way down front, not even noticing who was there. Later, I found out that a person in the back kept walking down as far as I was. I was on the aisle in the front, stopped and went back. Came down again, stopped and went back. Third time, comes down, kneels next to me, and he says, "Can I say something?" Spike Lee. He wants to do a eulogy for
Oh
Danny.
wow.
He gets up and does it. Talks about Ricky, talks about me, and he talks about my son and what it was to have the three of us together on the set. Louis was not enamored, our buddy, with Spike until he himself saw this. Blew everybody away. It was so meaningful. He didn't have, this is a joint where he would, this is a place where he probably would not feel comfortable.
Yeah.
He's there as a director, and he walks down an aisle without anyone being with him, all by himself in the place, and does that.
Yeah.
So I loved him. I loved him before that, but this was
really meaningful. Wow. But that's yeah. I see he's like there's a dichotomy going on there that it's hard to I'm gonna turn it to. I don't want to put you in a bad mood, but Scorsese, of course, we talked about last time.
Yeah, I don't like him.
You don't like him?
No, he's a little punk.
So he didn't put you in The Irishman.
Great actor. No, he wouldn't put me in anything.
I know, but I thought it was going to be time.
Since we spoke the last time, let me give you some new development.
Oh, please.
Right, Lou? We did a movie called Brooklyn Lobster, which I did, but we didn't talk about when we were in the thing.
No,
okay?
I don't remember.
Now, you know that Marty has not put me in anything. When I was at the Academy Award, I was representing one of his movies. Because I was nominated the following year, they gave me a movie to represent. And
you read that? You mean you read the
introduce,
right?
Goodfellas, okay. And up on the stage for millions of people, I said, "I am the only Italian American in this country that's not in this movie." I didn't cut him on. You know, I just said I'm not in it, okay. And every single time I volunteered to do things for one of his movies for nothing, just to be in the movie. Now, keep in mind, when I did that, I was hot. I was all over the place. Knockout, Marquee, all over. I had about 3 movies. So I'm hot. So there's, you know, I'm hot.
Yeah.
So, but never would he call me, and we would tell him that we're available, and he would never call us to come in. So I began to think. I have my reasons why.
Well, I know what your reasons why are. I think, right? Because there's the drug issue.
Yeah. I think that could have been it, and but I'm not saying he does, but I know that there are some sets you go on that people are straight, are thought of as problems if people are doing things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People are doing drugs.
Right, they're like a buzzkill.
You don't want to strike.
Yeah.
You don't want a straight guy. And I'm a guy that was outwardly against drugs. Now, you notice in my book, I never said that. I said that maybe he thought I was a bad actor. Maybe I stopped.
Right, you never said that, but you had told me that when we were talking.
I never
so
said
that's
that.
why I
didn't
knew
want
it.
to put it in the book because I don't know that. I thought that. I said, what other reason could it be? What?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, throwing things around. Now, we shoot to Brooklyn Lobster, okay? I go to my movie. I'm the star of the movie. It was a small movie it's a wonderful movie. Robert Ebert loved it, raved about it. I think it cost about $50 to make. This kid, Kevin Jordan, directed it and written it. He had a little place out in Long Island called Lobster Farm. It was a lobster farm, Jordan Lobster Farm. So I'm doing the movie. It's based on a true story. Now, I go to see the movie, okay? I'm sitting in the theater. The movie comes on, and it says, Marty Scorsese presents Danny Aiello in Brooklyn Lobster.
Wait, what? What is that about?